Wait for it. Let us feather. Let us feather.
Commander, holographic reports. Captain Mifune's APU is up and moving to Gate 3.
Turn off the switch trigger.
Greetings, gentlemen. This is Neo, I Believe, and I'm back with part 2 of Technological Boom, Doom, and Gloom. And today I want to talk about how the smartphone is manipulating you out of your freedom. Now, the smartphone has several purposes. On one aspect, it is a tool. It is a means of communication, a means of information, maybe even a means of diversion, which is not necessarily bad. Diversion could be, your favorite video games. Diversion can be pornographic websites, no judgment. Diversion can just be funny, hilarious videos on YouTube. But on the other aspect, the smartphone is genuinely just a tracking device. That's all it is. Now, there's ways to keep your freedom and your sovereignty. All these cell phone apps, gentlemen, get rid of these apps. As a matter of fact, when you go into a website and they try to press you to get an app, if the app is just free and clear, you're good. But once they ask you to log in through your so-called Google Play, and you have to make a Google Play account, that's when anonymity and privacy is really in jeopardy. Now, there are ways around this. If you create, let's say, a fake account is one thing, but keep in mind, Google doesn't play by the rules. Google keeps track of the phone that you log into or that you make an account through. I mean, the only way to keep your privacy would actually be a burner phone with a fake sign-in information, which not many people want to go through. But in order to keep your privacy, I understand that's probably the best route. When it comes to these apps, I say never use your actual phone. And what I mean by that is when they ask you for information, they're actually asking for the phone number that they can trace at all times. So, if you have a private phone number that you don't want any conglomerate like Google to know about, do not, under any circumstances, give Google this phone number. Matter of fact, for any app, unless it's actual personal information, like your bank, like your credit card distributor. If you're going through hard times and you're on, let's say, food stamps or any kind of government benefits, if you lost your job unjustly and you're on unemployment benefits or unemployment insurance, these are the only things I would advise. Definitely use your real number. But when it comes to apps or any other kind of like reward programs, if there's no strict requirement for you to actually log on or sign in through this particular phone, they just need a phone number, I would advise using a burner phone or just a phone number that's not your own personal number. Now, the thing about apps is just a fancy way of saying, use our website, but we're going to trace you specifically through your smartphone when you are doing it. That's all an app is. If you recall anything about the pre-smartphone days, when you had a desktop computer in Windows 95, any .com website you went to was basically what they're calling apps today. It's absolutely stupid, but the terminology is a way to keep you in chains as well. This is a way to get you to use a website. However, instead of just browsing a website free and clear, they're tracing you through your cell phone. So I don't advise any apps. And the only ones I do is that they do not require information. These huge conglomerates such as certain ones run by Jeff Bezos. It's crazy that if you were to purchase something from this website, and there's these things called pickup lockers. Now, unbeknownst to the customer, some of these pickup lockers actually require you to have the app. You have to have the big Jeff Bezos app on your smartphone. And why do they do this? Because some of these pickup lockers are actually Bluetooth enabled. There's no input screen, there's no touch screen where you can put in like a pickup code and grab your package. No, these are entirely Bluetooth controlled via satellite through your phone in order to retrieve a package that you already paid for. That is where I say they're invading your privacy. Never, ever, ever download any app of such sorts. If you learn that you have to have an app for something, steer clear of any purchases through that source. Now, if they require that you can use these pickup lockers in a more safe and secure manner, such as a password code, then go that route. But these websites, they'll require you to have an app. They'll take you directly to a Google Play Store, and they'll have you log in with your Google information. Now, for some, their Google information is actually in line with their YouTube login. So, as we see a lot of brothers in the manosphere getting doxxed, you have to ask yourself, that's fishy. This information that they require through Google, who has a hand in everything, and it sucks, but Google's got their hand in YouTube, Gmail, even so-called non-Google products like Twitter. Yes, Twitter. It goes to show that a lot of these fellows who have been doxxed might have gotten careless with their information and logged into Google with their own personal information at some point, or regularly, or as we speak right here on YouTube. A lot of the doxing may not be from these feminazis that hate our guts. It could very well be from these conglomerates that enable these feminazis. One such conglomerate being Google. Now, the apps are bad, but smartphone usage in general is absolutely bad. I'm not going to get into the science of cell phones cause brain tumors. Yeah, I haven't done the information on that, but that's been an ongoing myth since literally the early 90s with standard cellular telephones. But I will say it's dangerous for your privacy simply because smartphones have a memory, as they are blatant tracing devices. They have a memory of the locations you've been to. They have microphones in them. Whether you're on a phone call or not, the phone can actually record what you're saying, whether you're using the voice recording app or not. So they have a memory. And if you notice when browsing the web, you might run into certain advertisements, which is in line with something you may have encountered or spoke about earlier that day. And what's scary is sometimes it might have been something you just thought about in your head. And boom, there it is on an advertisement as soon as you open your homepage on a smartphone. So your privacy is greatly compromised. And I understand we all have to have cellular phones. If you can get away with not having it, even better. But gentlemen, I understand some of our jobs require cellular phones. And I'm not saying don't have one. I'm saying be extremely careful with your privacy on there. Now, I speak to the men because what's going to bring about the technological boom, doom, and gloom are the same puppets that have ushered in the separation of man and woman, the same puppets that have ushered in a Luciferian society, the same puppets that have ushered in the celebration of child endangerment and trafficking, and that element is modern women. Yes, the societal downfall that we are experiencing is in fact celebrated, orchestrated, and executed by post-feminist modern women. That being said, let this tool, this smartphone, affect only those who are voluntary victims of this dystopian system. The smartphone gives your average woman access to a digital social media world where her spirits, her mood, her entitlement, her attitude can all be uplifted simply because she has a pulse. Selfies have become popular. Twerking have become popular. TikTok challenges have become popular. Any kind of social media degeneracy is entirely ushered by modern women. Now, where I advise men to protect their sovereignty and their privacy, I will say social media specifically wants for women to expose themselves. I mean, these smartphone apps are entirely driven by the women who keep purchasing the latest iPhone, creating the next challenge or trend on social media. And I gotta say, fellas, leave the women to their own devices. Maybe literally in this sense. Social media is for women to submit all of their information, their face, their location, their activities, their sexual partners, and the like. They feed off of likes, they feed off of attention, they feed off of followers, whether they be human or robot algorithms. Let this dystopia fall entirely to the women who are voluntarily bringing about this dystopia. Now, all these social media apps that require information, women have no issue doing this. There are women who have a lucrative job and she has no problem showing her face on OnlyFans, showing her complete travel schedule as she sells her body on Twitter, showing her complete place of residence, her children, what have you. There are women who voluntarily choose to do this because they understand, as most men do, they understand that there is zero repercussion. This society will not hold women accountable for anything. Let them bring about this own dysfunction, and fellas, we gotta stay out of this. We cannot submit our information to the social media sphere. We fail when men lose control. The women going to the wayside means nothing to us. They've chosen to do that long before any of us even became MGTOW. Fourth wave feminism was the turning point, and this occurred in the 2000s. I'm telling you, these conglomerates want information from red pill awakened men. They could harvest 1 million women and turn them into brainless feminazi drones, and it would mean nothing. Our power is lost when these same conglomerates gain control of red pill awakened men. I tell you, one of the only things that the upcoming technological boom can bring about, and not for me personally, but for other men, I completely understand, but it would be companion dolls, companion robots. Look at it this way. The average modern woman, let's take the later millennials and Generation Z, the era of women that probably never experienced social life prior to MySpace, Facebook, iPhone, Discord, Kick, Omegle. If you take the average female who grew up in that era and just assess her social skills alone, it's very clear to see that she has less life in her than would a companion robot. It's not an easy thing to admit, but your average modern woman is a downgrade from a companion robot in the sense that a companion robot is created to obey versus a flesh and blood modern woman is a lifeless robot, however, an emotional one who resents all masculine men. So I say that to say I'm not mad at the brothers who are looking at companion robots. I follow a couple channels who are cohabitating with a companion doll as we speak. Though this is not my choice, I am supporting these brothers 110%. I have no issue with these men finding solace in a companion doll versus dealing with a flesh and blood, completely brainless, social media driven feminazi. No problem with that whatsoever. So gentlemen, the smartphone boom, find a way to utilize this phone in a way that benefits you. Like I said, it is valid communication, it is information, and it is a diversion for your games and movies, comedy, prawn, what have you. But I leave you with that, gentlemen. If possible, I'm going to continue this series where I believe part 3 will go into even more topics. And as I always say, brothers, thank you and believe.